committed vegan and a passionate big game hunter join forces to chase a Cape buffalo in South Africa. That's what happens in the end of the game, and joining us now is David Graham Scott, who directed it. First of all, we have to ask, when the pair, how on earth does a vegan and a big game hunter, how do you meet?
Well, what happened was back in 2009, I think it was, I was making a short film for the Scottish Documentary Institute, and it was set around a hunting estate in the far north of Scotland, just a few miles from where I come from. So I met this guy on that particular estate, and he was a background character in that particular film. It was called Arcadia. Mm-hmm. But I knew as soon as I met him, this guy was documentary gold dust, just as a character. Now, I knew that we had our differences, but the way I make documentaries and my kind of particular vision, sometimes it can be more of an interesting narrative and a journey to go with somebody that you might not necessarily get on with. Mm-hmm. And he is quite a belligerent old guy. The film starts with him swearing at me and ends with him swearing at me. And there's a lot of swearing in between.
I mean, did Guy Wallace, did he require any persuading for this documentary? Was he at all sceptical about you? And
did he persuade me?
Did he require persuading to go out?
Not too much. Strangely enough, I found him, what's the word now? Quite a vain character in some ways. I think he would probably admit that. You know, he liked a bit of the limelight, and I'd asked, for instance, I said one day, "Oh, Guy, I'd like to do some publicity stills." And he dressed up in the most immaculate costume. I don't know if you read or heard of the Chap magazine, but it's kind of like a fashion magazine for men that dress in this very elegant, over-the-top fashion, and he certainly would be right for that. So, yeah, I felt that he very much liked being in the limelight.
Did you think that either of you were going to change your positions about animals?
No, I seriously didn't know. And it's not really what the intention of the film was. Mm-hmm. When you start making a documentary, of course, you don't really know what's going to happen. You have a rough idea, which you sketch out. So I'm going to do this journey with a chap, you know, and first of all, I wasn't even going to go on a big game hunt. It was just a character study of this man on this bit of moorland in Caithness.
And it's a very Spartan life he leads.
Yeah. It's interesting because, in a way, it was sort of similar to what we encountered in Africa, which was just this intense African bush with nothing really much but bushes and the occasional animals, but quite barren as well in its own way. And at that point when we went, there was a drought, so there were a lot of carcasses and skeletons of some of the creatures that had died. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting parallel between the two places.
Has he seen the finished documentary?
Has he seen it? Yes, and he's quite happy with it. He's quite happy with it. You know, that it pleases me to make a film that the protagonist, if I can call him that, doesn't feel exploited. Now, even if you don't agree with them, and quite often I don't like the idea of making a documentary where I'm using that person for my personal gain and making a fool of them at every opportunity I can. I probably make more a fool of myself in it.
You're very funny about your vegan shoes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I know, my vegan hiking boots. I know, it's kind of ridiculous. And I realised that there's a lot of things that, being a vegan, you could take it to the ultimate where you just don't eat anything. You know, you could say, oh well, the guy that picked these vegetables eats meat, therefore I'm supporting the farming industry in some roundabout way, or I was speaking to the girls earlier and said, like, the public transport I'm on, they use horsehair and leather in their upholstery and animal glues. I better not ever go on the London Underground ever again, or whatever.
I mean, in a sense, that's one of the ideas that's so interesting about the end of the game. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
And it's great that it's being shown here at XpoNorth, but for people who aren't able to see it at XpoNorth, I understand there's some good news that they'll have a chance to see.
Yes. I've just had word, officially announced, that it will be on BBC Scotland at a later date, to be confirmed. I don't quite know when that is. I think it might be when the new channel emerges next year. There's a wee bit of time, but in that time we can get screenings throughout the UK and certainly abroad as well.
Well, that's terrific news. Eyes on.
Oh yeah, keep an eye out for it. It's a strange film, and seriously, I know that people may have issues when they hear that it's about big game hunting, or there's not a lot of goriness in it.
I would definitely say that you should go along and make the minds up.
Yeah. It's more a character study, really, and it's quite a bizarre film.
Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.